TV.
Get curious. Get curious.
Look what my little mama gets to ride.
What do we do here on Sway TV? We shop.
Yo, suit up.
Inhale. I literally just inhaled a fly.
The most hilarious thing that has ever happened to me on live Amazon television.
Would you like to be a Sway TV host?
Yes. Here we go. Here we go.
Mark says, I thought I changed your life. Oh, you're gonna make me cry.
We made history here on Amazon Live. Would you ask her out again?
I just got like goosebumps.
So thank you for inspiring us here at Sway TV, Clay.
Oh my goodness. We're having a little fire here.
Michael says, Shayla, I love you and your shows.
How did you do this?
So many giveaways here at Sway TV.
Money, big money, big money, big money, big money.
I'm ready to battle shop live. Yeah!
This is fun.
And one person's gonna win a PS5. Which one will it be?
Everyone is holding their breath.
I have our winner.
I'm so excited, I can't even stand it.
I cannot make this up.
We are awarding you with the PS5 as well. What?
6, 5,
4, 3,
2, 1.
Talk to all your friends and your family. Let them know about Sway TV.
Sway TV is here to stay. Thank you, Amazon.
Thank you, Sway TV.
Shop attainment all the time.
'Tis the season of the comfy.
We in the house. We having fun. We doing the thing. We swaying.
2 thumbs up. Woo!
Sway TV #1, baby.
here we go for you.
Let's sway.
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 Let's play.
Let's sway.
Let's sway.
Let's sway.
Let's go. Let's sway. Stay tuned. Woo!
Hey.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Candace Kita. I'm your host here at Sway TV with my co-host.
Albert Del Ortega, it's me.
And today we have a very special guest. We decided just to bring him right in. We'd like to welcome producer, director, writer, actor,
Gregori
Emmy winner,
J. Martin.
Gregori J. Martin. Gregori, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for that introduction. I'm not an actor. I was an actor a long time ago. I'm not an actor anymore,
But you play one on
I'm
TV.
really happy.
Yes, former actor, I should say. Thank you so much for joining us here this morning, because we know that, didn't we get Gregori out of bed super early this morning?
He did. He's one of those night owls. You know, I used to be a night owl. Now I'm getting up early and I have no.
Yeah.
I used to go to bed like at 6 o'clock.
Now, you guys, because
I
we
actually write better at night.
you write better at night. I think a lot of people do.
Well, I write better at night, or I do things better at night because everyone's asleep, and there's just this stillness of night, and you're like, and that seems to be when the creative juices really start flowing, is during the middle of the night. I don't know what it is, but
Absolutely. And you guys, because we are coming to you live right now on Wednesday at 7:23 in the morning, please engage Gregori in the chat. Now is the time to ask him any questions, have any comments, suggestions. We're going to be talking about projects that he has been involved in. Let's just talk about one of your biggest projects here that's available on Amazon Prime right now. Why don't you tell us, for those of you who don't know, about The Bay?
The Bay.
Thank you, guys. So, I missed the question. I'm sorry, there was a little muffled. So
Just give us a little, in a nutshell, tell us a little bit about what The Bay was about, for those that have never watched.
So The Bay is a crime drama romance. It follows the Garrett family, Sarah Garrett, who's the matriarch, and her son Pete Garrett, who's kind of like the town hero, played by Mary Beth Evans and Christos Andrews. And it just kind of follows their lives and all the trials and tribulations that they face in a fictional city on the outskirts of Los Angeles called Bay City. The show has about 80-something episodes. We are in our 7th season. We're going into our 7th season.
Mazel tov.
And thank you so much. It's been a fun journey. The cast is amazing. As I mentioned, Christos Andrews is our lead. Mary Beth Evans, Karuchi Tran, Jade Harlow, Brandon Beamer, Ron Moss. There's a lot of great folks on the show.
Would you say this is a soap, a soap opera?
It's I guess everything is a soap opera, so it would be in a sense a soap opera. It's not your traditional soap, or shot on a sound stage where it's like a daily thing. It's more of a, I guess it would be more like a primetime soap or drama. When we first started the show, it was very kind of soapy, but I think we've kind of tried to move away from that a little bit, where we're kind of more focusing on like real life scenarios. We tackled some really good social issues this past season. So we kind of categorize ourselves as a drama series. So.
What type of social issues did you tackle in the show so far that you felt were very relevant?
Well, this last season, we did a Black Lives Matter storyline. It was about racial injustice, which I thought was a really important issue that needed to be addressed, or that always needs to be addressed. But I kind of wanted to tell the story in the best way that I could, with the cast, with the characters that had already been established on the show. And actually, Najee Datij, who's a Garrett, which is like the main core family, and they're a Caucasian family, but one of the characters on the show years ago married a black guy, and then they had a child on the show, and so now we've grown him up, and he's now a teenager, and so he kind of the character kind of deals with what he is faced with as a black kid who grew up in a white family, and it was fun, and we kind of followed. We followed the time frame of what was going on in America last year, because we kind of went back. The show was released in released in November, December, but we kind of recapped 2020, and so whatever was happening, the protests and things that were happening in real life were actually happening in Bay City as well. And it was an important story. I think the actor did a wonderful job. Najee was wonderful, and to be able to tie in the characters of Bay City, how they were kind of facing the challenges that all Americans were facing, was a challenge, but it was definitely an important story for us to tell. We also dealt with COVID at the same time. A couple of core characters on the show got COVID. I know probably all sounds dramatic, and I'm sorry, kind of depressing, but it wasn't. I think it was, we did it in a way where we told the stories, we kept it relevant, but we kind of delivered a message, and there is light in the season, and some good kind of, moments that we were able to celebrate certain victories.
It must be hard to act through one of those ventilators. What?
What about? Oh, go ahead.
That was actually a challenge too, to be able to, because I think, the most beautiful cast around, and so I wanted to show their faces, but I had to kind of be true to what people had to do. We're wearing masks, and so there were times where I was like, I made directorial decisions where I was like, all right, taking off the mask, because I wanted my actors to show their faces,
Of course.
Plus, they're all really great actors, and so when you have a mask covering your face, you don't get to see like the full expressions and stuff. But I think we had a good balance in how it was done. Hoping the audience felt that way.
So I guess I'm missing the most important things. When and where can we watch? I mean, nowadays everyone's streamed, but where can we, if we wanted to see The Bay, where can we catch it?
Well, it's on depending on where you are. We are in the U.S. We're on Amazon Prime.
Hey, convenient.
Most of our seasons on Amazon Prime, but we're also on Popstar TV, The newest season is only available on Popstar TV, but will eventually be on Amazon Prime. And then we're talking to other few distribution platforms for distribution here domestically. And then overseas, we're in Australia on 10 Play, and then we're on SABC, Channel 3 in South Africa.
Awesome. You were looking at it right now on Amazon Prime. It's The Bay. When family liaison officer Lisa Armstrong is assigned to a missing persons investigation.
That's actually not my. That's another show.
Oh, okay. So anyways, you guys.
Live TV.
But you guys can catch The Bay right here on Amazon Prime. And we are talking right now to Gregori J. Martin, who is the creator of it. So yes, it's a wonderful opportunity if you guys want to check it out.
Yeah.
What is the viewer response been? Do you listen to viewer response in regards to, for example, the Black Lives Matter storyline? Has it been a positive response that you've been keeping up with current events and actually incorporating them into the season as you go? Concurrently?
Yeah, I feel season 6 was our most active season. We had lots of new fans. The original fans who've been with the show from the beginning were there supporting it. There was a lot of interaction on social media this season, more so than average. But everything, all the feedback has been great. I think the best that we've gotten. I hear a lot that season 6 was our best season, so that was. I think it's good. I think people are kind of liking the. There was one fan who I remember seeing a post of a fan complaining that they didn't want to see real social issues on the show.
Really?
But, that was like one comment that I passed. Otherwise, for the most part, everyone was kind of like, best season ever, So
you can't satisfy everybody. So you're always going to get some Debbie Downer or somebody's going to rain on your parade.
Well, that actually brings up a good question. Do you, as the creator, look at, for example, Amazon reviews and comments that people are suggesting this or that, and do you allow them to influence what you're doing for the next season or future episodes?
I do. I definitely do. If I whatever the feedback is helps me decide on what story we're gonna tell or what characters we're gonna focus on next. So that happens all the time.
Do you have someone that you would love to work with and bring them on the show, like a little I don't know, casting? I would really love to get so and so on the show. A favorite of yours?
Wow, that's a. Yes. I'd love to have everybody on the show, but there's I don't know. That's a hard one.
Pray out there. Now's a good time to say hey, I would love to get hint so and so on this show.
How did you come up with the concept of this project in the first place?
Well, the concept was part of my brain as a child. I was 7 years old, and my babysitter was a fan of Santa Barbara.
Oh, sure.
And so she would race us home from school every day to watch it, and so I would watch Santa Barbara with her.
No way.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where it was first inspired. And my mother was a big Dynasty fan.
Whose mom wasn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think having soaps on the TV or dramas on the TV like Dynasty, primetime soaps, I think that kind of was the initial influence of the show. And then I just started to kind of create my own characters, and I created this. First on Santa Barbara, their lead character was Robin Wright.
Wow.
Kelly Capwell played Robin Wright. Robin Wright played Kelly Capwell. And so there's this beautiful blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman who
Princess Buttercup.
And so I would draw pictures of my own blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman, and I called her Sarah. And I don't know why it all came about, but her name was actually Sarah Garrett, which is now played by Mary Beth Evans. And so I would just draw these pictures of her, and then I'd eventually create her family around her and make her deal with all these crazy trials and tribulations too, as I grew up into a teenager. And I would write, synopsises and then eventually scripts. And and then I just developed a whole series of characters around Sarah. And then when I became a professional, I created a show.
So this was actually years in the making, though. I didn't realize that you had started from childhood when you're looking at almost like nighttime prime soap operas, such as Dallas Dynasty, Flamingo Road, Hotel, all these nighttime, primetime soap operas, which are a little bit different to me than the daytime soap opera. Do you end a lot of your episodes on a cliffhanger, so that way, like in the typical soap opera style, so people are can't wait to the next episode?
Oh, every episode ends with a cliffhanger.
Yeah, who doesn't love cliffhangers?
Yeah. There's never. I don't think there's ever been an episode of the day where it doesn't end with a cliffhanger. So it's. Yeah. Was that the question you asked?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like in typical soap opera style, quite often they end in a cliffhanger, so people are waiting with bated breath to get to the next episode.
And the baby is... Who's the baby? Who's the father?
Exactly.
Is it John?
We've had that.
That's too soap opera-ish, right?
We actually did have that in the beginning a couple years ago.
Can you just give us a couple of names that you've worked with for the soap opera fans out there? If you can remember, I know it's early in the morning and your brain is not firing.
Oh my goodness, yeah. As far as soap legends, I mean we have Mary Beth Evans, who is a soap icon. She's the matriarch of the show. We have Ron Moss, who was the face of The Bold and the Beautiful for 25 years. Tristan Rogers, Jackie Zeman on General Hospital, Matt Ashford from Days of Our Lives. Oh goodness, there's so many folks. Vivica Fox, I think she was on a soap. I think everybody. Nick Coster, who played Jack Madison for many years, and now this last season we brought in John Aprea, The Godfather, who was also on a soap. I don't know. The list goes on and on. I think there's so many iconic soap stars that have appeared or are still appearing on the Bay. So.
Did you specifically seek these soap opera icons out, knowing that so many people in the soap world knew them for years and years?
Yes, totally. I mean, most of my casting is done by being familiar with their work. Like I've cast folks from Melrose Place, Thomas Calabro, Vanessa Williams from Melrose Place. I knew their work on the show. So I think almost everyone on the cast. I don't think there's anyone who's auditioned. I usually do it based on, if I don't know their work, then maybe reels that I've received or YouTube or fan response, so pretty much everyone on the show has a fan base, whether it's in the soap genre or not. Karrueche Tran is not a soap star, but she's when she first joined the show, she had a massive social media following and kept growing, and she did a show called Claws and was a model.
Oh yeah, Claws.
Wonderful. And we've had Sean Patrick Flannery on the show, guest starring. Who I don't know if he's known for soaps, but he
was from House, wasn't he?
He was in. Was he? Yeah, I know he was in the Boondock Saints.
Boondock Saints. Yeah.
A. Martinez, who actually was a soap star. He's been in everything.
Oh yeah. A's been around for a while.
He's pretty amazing. Working with him.
We actually just interviewed one of your former starring. He played the villain a couple weeks ago, Camden Toy, who says, "Bring him back."
Yes, actually, when Camden was on the show, we had now, as I mentioned, we're kind of moving away from the guilty pleasure storylines that we. There's still always going to be guilty pleasure, but we moved away from a lot of that soapy. But Camden was wonderful because when we first started the show, he played this villain, Igor Chambers, who I think is in jail now. I can't remember what happened to him, but he's still alive. He's out there somewhere.
You gotta bring him back, Camden Toy.
Oh, just like in a lot of
fans feel that way too. There's lots of fans who loved Igor. In fact,
bring him back. Bring him back. We
love Camden. We love him a lot.
That's awesome. That's so funny in soap opera world. A lot of times you can die, and then somehow they manage to bring you back. It was like, oh, it was an accident. He really didn't pass away.
Yeah, but you were you were decapitated. Well, they sewed my head back on.
And it was your twin.
Actually, it's so cliche that we do not do. That's that's one of the things that I kind of specifically wanted to not do. So there's been characters that die on the show, and I know fans. There are times where fans want us to bring the character back, but when you die on the bay, you're dead. You know, because I just wanted to keep it that element. I just kind of want.
Well, can't you say I'm not John, but I'm Juan, his double, or not his twin? And then if you kill him,
and actually,
he can always be a triplet if you kill him. Juan's dead while I'm Sean.
We have done that where actors come on, they play one role, and then they. I wasn't planning to keep that character around, so I brought him back as another character.
Yeah.
I have.
With like an eye patch or something.
So are you the sole, because I know you created, are you also the sole writer, or you are the one that is responsible for the majority of where the storylines are going?
Yeah, I'm the head writer. Most seasons I wrote by myself, but I've always had, one of our executive producers, Wendy Rich, kind of as a story editor, and now we're kind of developing the show together. The last 3 seasons, the last 3 or 4 seasons, we kind of, we're in the writing room together, and I'm the head writer, so I'll tell her the stories that I want to tell, and she kind of helps me get there. And then for 2 of the 7 seasons that we've done, we brought on a writing team. But for the most part, it's just Wendy and I. Though season 6, we did have a writing team, and then we also had a writing team for season 3, which.
So you're you're the showrunner. Am I correct?
I am the showrunner. Yeah.
So for the layman, what is a showrunner? Because they're like, what's a showrunner?
Showrunner kind of has different meanings. For the Bay, the showrunner is kind of the one who puts everything together. I cast the show, I write the show, I direct the show, I produce the show. Christos is my producing partner, and so we'll make most of decisions together on the show. He started as a smaller character, and then he kind of developed into a bigger character, and eventually he became a producer on the show, and then he became he even co-directed some stuff with me, and did some. He's kind of done everything with the show with me.
So Christos goes like, this is what we do, right? Okay, it's all right. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. Then that's Christos's role, more or less.
Yeah. Oh, what's this?
I'm just saying that
what is that?
Like this. It's all right. It's okay. It's all right. Christos. Okay?
Oh.
He's a little voice in your head.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. No, I mean, he's really respectful with whatever stories I want to tell. He doesn't get involved in that so much. Every once in a while, he'll have some story inputs, but for the most part, he's he's our lead actor, and when it comes to when we're ready to roll, he just kind of focuses on his role. Now he plays twins, actually, but so. He just mainly focuses on performance when the cameras are rolling, and he helps pre-production, and then he also helps with post. But for the most part, his role kind of stops when the cameras are rolling.
Wait! You said he plays twins?
He does, yes.
Oh, geez.
Are they evil twins? One's a good twin, and one's
I knew that
the
was
evil
coming.
Twin? Yeah.
Yes, that is true. Yes, that is. Yeah, one is an evil twin. So.
Oh, that's so funny. How far in advance are you writing? Are you writing episodes in advance? I know some people are writing on the fly, right on set.
Well, we have an idea of what we want to do every season, but the scripts are usually not written until sometimes days before we're shooting. But
right.
You're one of those guys.
We try to actually have it done at least a month in advance. But that doesn't always happen because we get so caught up. So like I haven't written, we're in development on season 7 right now, and we have some really fun stuff, and we're just kind of outlining, Wendy and I are just outlining some stuff. But I won't actually physically write the scripts for another 2 weeks, and then and then we'll go into production in July.
So being a former actor, that must be really frustrating. The process of having to rehearse, you're slipping the script under their and like, oh my God, now I got to relearn. So that must frustrate you, knowing that that must frustrate them. So because you were a former actor.
I try not to do that to my actors. I mean, they'll have it. They might have a scene a couple of days before, but for the most part, they'll have their scripts a month in advance. So there are moments there are times where I'll just rewrite a scene, but I won't rewrite the entire script for them. I'll, last minute, I'll just make sure that they have the time to do it at least a month.
David Milch was infamous for that on NYPD Blue. He would, or even on Deadwood, he would literally rewrite his scripts right on the fly, and it was so hard for the actors they're like, oh great, really? Now I have to rememorize my lines like right before we roll.
Yeah, that happens once in a while, but it's mostly just scenes here or there that I have to kind of develop a little more for whatever. There could be a trillion different reasons why. So.
Well, how much does improv play in it? How much is it involved with you and the actors if they have a good idea right on set? Do you guys improv, or do you get a good, solid, clean take and then allow the actors to improv a little bit?
Yes, definitely. There's not a lot of improv going on the show. There's some ad-libbing that happens. So they'll have the script and they'll stick to the script for the most part. But every once in a while, there are some actors that are really good at or notorious for kind of ad-libbing their own words.
Yeah.
And there's a kind of like a core 5 actors that do that all the time. And for the most part, it's whatever they say. They know that, especially those who've been with the show for so many years, they know the character, and so I'm fine with it. Every once in a while, I'll have to say, wait, hold on, no, don't say that. We have to go back. This is an important line. Make sure you do this. But I'm lenient in the sense when I know there are certain actors, like Christos, for instance, he's a great example. He knows his role so well that there are times where he'll kind of change the lines a little bit to mold them into what he wants, how he feels the character should say something. And because he knows the role so well, I'm usually okay with it. Tristan Rogers is also that way. I'm trying to think of who else. Matt Ashford. Those are my guys that I know will kind of take the script and just keep the intent of the scene, but kind of put their own words to it. And there might be another 2 but Mary Beth usually sticks to the script. Jackie Zeman, Brittany Underwood, they're really good at sticking to the script. Brandon Beamer sticks to the script. Once in a while he'll ad-lib, but not so much. But I would say the 3 that are most notorious for that are probably Christos, Tristan Rogers, and Matt Ashford.
As a writer and a creator of a lot of these characters, how does it feel when you hear the words coming out of the actor and it's like your little baby's now starting to walk? As a creator, how does that make you feel? They're like, wow, I created this person.
Yeah, it happens more so on certain scenes than it happens as a whole now, because we've been doing it for so long. But there was a time, I remember when we first started the Bay and I created the show, and before we even had I cast any actors, I had an idea of what the show would be, and then I went after iconic daytime soap stars and for the original concept of the show when we first started many years ago. And I remember being on set and looking around the room and saying, wow, this is real. This is amazing. And they're all, bringing the characters to life. Now, I think because we've been doing it so long, I don't really have that feeling so much, but every once in a while I'll write a scene and I can't wait to see how it's going to appear. 2 that come to mind is actually Eric Nelson, who just texted me. He's actually texting me now. Eric Nelson, who won an Emmy actually for Best Supporting Actor. I remember a scene that he did with Sean Patrick Flannery. That was really, really powerful, and I was really happy the result. And actually, we had our distributor there that day, and he's sitting next to me, and I look over and he's crying.
Oh wow!
I was like, okay, that works. My distributor's happy,
They're probably
also Carolyn. Yeah, I don't know if you know who Carolyn Hennessy is, but
I do know Carolyn Hennessy. Yeah.
She won an Emmy for the Bay guest star Emmy, and It was with three iconic daytime soap stars. It was a flashback sequence that we did with Carolyn Hennessy, James DePaiva, and Jensen Buchanan. That was another moment I remember feeling like, wow, this is great. I wrote it for, I knew it was Emmy material, and the right actor performing, then it would become Emmy worthy. And I think Carolyn did it, and she won the Emmy. So.
Is any of the characters written from someone in your actual life, like you said, like maybe I wrote this with someone in mind, and then maybe as a homage to someone or anything?
I would never say, more so just paying homage to someone in my life. I think there were similarities between Lily Melgar's character, Janice Ramos, and my mother. That was kind of. Janice was a wreck. My mother's not, but there were things that kind of the journey of what Janice was going through in her life. My mother kind of had similar circumstances, so that was a very meaningful character. I actually ended up writing the character off, but I would say that would be the one that's most. Paying homage to a real life person.
Did your mom notice and go like, "Hey, what are you trying to say?" Or was she honored?
My mother could tell because my mother's husband is actually much younger than she is, and
good for her.
She had struggles with allowing herself to fall in love with this man who was much younger than her, and we played that out a little on the bay, and it was one of our most successful love stories. It was the story between Pete and Janice. Audiences called them Jeter. But so we played a little bit of some story points that happened on the show were real life situations that my mother actually dealt with in her life with her younger husband, who they're still together 20 years later.
Oh, that's awesome.
On our show, it didn't really end as happy, but yeah. So.
Isn't it also such a dream come true for you personally, because you grew up with Santa Barbara, it influenced your life and influenced your career, now to be working with these soap opera legends like Tristan Rogers and Jackie Zeman? I remember growing up with them when I was a kid on General Hospital, to actually be working hand in hand with these people, and they're creating your storylines and your characters.
Yeah, totally. Now we're just kind of old friends, so we hang out and party, and I know them pretty well. In fact, a lot of the times people will ask me when I write the characters, how similar are the characters to the actors who play them, and I'm like, they're the same people. They're most of the cases they're very, very similar.
Really?
Yes, but so now we've become, through the years we've become such great friends that actually Tristan Rogers was a dear friend of mine before I cast him on the show. But to know their history, it just kind of adds to the strength of the Bay, because a lot of these folk, everyone on the show, not just soap stars, but everyone that's been on the show, has this kind of wonderful career, history, acting, career, that they're just, they are icons in their own right, and in so many different places, not just soaps. So it's wonderful. I look at my cast, and I've said this in many, and I have to be careful not to say too much depending on who we're around, because I don't want to offend anyone, but I always say that we have the best cast out there, because they're wonderful. They're not only are they probably the most beautiful people in the entertainment industry, but they're also wonderful actors, and they take the craft so serious, and they always deliver, and I love them. It's great.
I honestly feel that a lot of daytime actors don't get enough credit. That they have storylines and lots of lines and things to memorize, and they shoot just about every day. So it's just like, oh my God. And I don't think they get enough credit, honestly. They're not taken seriously.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think there's a stigma with the soaps like even us, when we're, I don't categorize the show as a soap because we know that there are times where it could hurt us distribution-wise because of what people perceive a soap opera to be. We aren't like you. I mean, there are a few instances where you described it as that moment where it's like, and that's kind of what people see as a soap thing. So it becomes this stereotype of bad, and that's not necessarily true. And so that's kind of why I think soap stars don't get the credit that they deserve. But I mean, there are some of these actors that, especially the icons that are on the Bay, where they've been doing this for so many years. And the reason why they cast these actors is because you have to move on the fly. And we on the Bay, fortunately, they get 5 takes. But when they're shooting, sometimes 10 takes. But when they're shooting their soaps, they'll get 2 takes if they're lucky. And so they have to deliver within 2 takes. And I would not do that to my actors unless I knew I had the performance. But soaps do that all the time, and so I think that's why they should really be getting more credit.
Yeah, I mean, the one luxury you have is that you guys aren't live, which a lot of soaps are, which is why they have to always keep moving. I mean, can you imagine if the Bay was live?
Well, yeah, soaps are not live anymore. They used to be many years ago, but they're kind of like live because they have to.
Well, the format anyway.
They have to shoot an episode. Sometimes they have to shoot an episode and a half or 2 episodes in a day.
Yeah.
And so, and then it goes live 2 weeks later. Or I think now they've changed it where now some soaps they don't go live for several months, but still they're just kind of shooting an episode and a half or 2 episodes in a day.
Right. I mean, I should have corrected myself. They're not shooting them live, but it's the format almost seems like they're live. It's just like that. We're moving on. We're doing how many pages a day? So it's like what? It's like they're live.
Yeah, they call it soap opera level, and it's one of the most difficult levels as far as an actor is concerned because you're digesting and having to put out so much information on a daily basis that you're constantly getting new sides, much more so than if you're shooting on a film. Where it's going to be a lot slower and they're taking their time. So to be an actor, like you said, that you just don't get the credit that you deserve as a soap opera actor.
That's right.
But don't you also think that the soap opera fans are some of the most loyal fans out there?
I was about to say that.
Yeah.
I was going to say soap opera fans are so loyal, and they're like some of the best fans around.
They are. They're wonderful. I love our fans. I mean, I know a lot of the fans personally. I've gotten to know them throughout the years because they've stuck with the show and. They've made collages, they've made videos,
of just you or the fan or the show?
Pardon?
Of just you, just Gregori collages? It's my
Funny
Gregori
enough, they
band.
actually have done, pictures and stuff for me, which is always awkward. But but they do it for the stars of the show. They have their own what do they call it, smush names for certain characters or certain romances. And they're not afraid to express how they feel, and it's great. I always tell a funny story of something that happened. I won't mention any names, but one of our actresses on the show was pregnant in real life, but not on the show.
Oh, that's always hard.
The character, and so we had to hide her pregnancy. But the character was going through a big relationship drama on the show with this guy who was, the audience didn't know if he was, loyal or if he wasn't, if he was cheating, if he was, scheming. And she was this kind of, and actually it was Taylor Stanley who plays the role, Zoe. And so she was about to get married to Dylan Bruce's character, Brian, on the show, and he was kind of sneaking around. He had a woman locked in a basement, Camden Toys. It was Camden Toys storyline. But
always the basement.
And so we had a fan event, and there was one fan who was there, and she was kind of, looking around like with the deer in headlights, just happy to see all the stars of the show. And so I walked over to her and I said, "Would you like to meet the cast?" And she's like, "I would love to," but she was kind of shy. And so I walked her around and I introduced her to the stars, and I brought her over to Taylor Stanley, who plays Zoe. And she noticed that she was pregnant in real life, and she looks and she's like, "You're pregnant?" And then Taylor's like, "Yes, I am." She's like, "Please tell me it's not Brian's." But they but they get so invested in the storylines that it's real to them. You know?
That's always sweet. That's always sweet. So tell us, how many Emmys have you guys won by now? Do you have a whole new area in your room just for the Emmys?
We read it. It was so confusing to me. For this, for that, there's so many. You have to break it down for us and tell us how many.
Sure. The show has 19 Emmy wins.
Wow.
That's got to be a record.
Yeah. Thank you. I don't think it's a record, but it's definitely a record for digital. I mean, there's never been.
Well, there you go, digital.
Yes, and 43 nominations.
Unbelievable.
Total. Yeah, so it's been a blessing, and we're really happy about it. How does it break down? The reason why you'll see a lot of folks, with Emmys, and it appears more than, I don't know if it appears more, but there are times where everyone's kind of taking pictures of their Emmys and posting it on social media and stuff. When you receive an Emmy for the show, for Best Show, we technically get 2 Emmys. One is the commemorative Emmy, which is for the show itself, the Bay, and then me as the showrunner, I get an Emmy. And then those are but it's really just one Emmy. And then all of the producers that are on the producing team could purchase an Emmy because they're part of the producing team. So they all have the ability to, purchase their Emmy because they won.
Oh, purchase the statuette, the actual statue, the actual award.
The actual £8 Emmy. There's one here. Somewhere. Yeah, there's one over there. That's,
okay.
Yeah.
If you squint, you can see it.
But,
I see it. I see it. There it is.
I do see it. I see it. Yeah, I see it.
So they're, so anyone who's on the producing team could get, the actual, Emmy, and so we've won 5 Emmys for Best Show. And then Christos has won 4 Emmys for Outstanding Lead Actor. Then Mary Beth has won 2 Emmys for Outstanding Lead Actress. I've won 2 Emmys for directing. And then we've had a lot of supporting actors and a few guest stars. So those are, that makes up the 19 Emmy wins.
Wow. That's impressive. What can you tell us about Puerto Rico?
It's a beautiful place, and if you haven't been there, you need to go. That's very important. Christos actually just did a movie out there with Bruce Willis. He was shooting, and then I directed a movie called The Magic, where Christos was the lead in that with Alejandra Espinosa, Eric Roberts, Sally Kirkland, the D'Ambrosio twins, and it's called The Magic. It hasn't come out yet. It'll come out this Christmas. But we did a lot of press in Puerto Rico because one of the main families on the show is Puerto Rican. It's about a family who lives in a woman who lives in Los Angeles, and her family lives in Puerto Rico. And so they constantly reference Puerto Rico. And so, but the actress Alejandra Espinosa, who's actually a Mexican actress, but she's really well known in the Latin market in Puerto Rico because her husband is a Puerto Rican choreographer. And so when we went out there, we brought on a publicist who kind of helped us do some press out there, and we did a lot of press while we were in Puerto Rico.
So that's how you spend your time off making a movie. I'm not doing the Bay. Now I'm going to relax by going to Puerto Rico and making a feature film.
I don't like time off unless it's. I actually don't like time off. I like to keep doing things. So if we're not doing the Bay, we're doing a film or developing another show, but the Bay takes up a lot of our time. I mean, it's at least 5 months out of the year we're focusing on the Bay, and then the other 7 months we're trying to tackle another project.
So I have here in my notes, I went on your, before I went to bed last night on Facebook, and I saw that you were just recently honored at the, is it the Michaud Film Festival, or is that my...
Yes, Michaud Film Festival, yes. That was a surprise. It came to me for Noel Bram, we were on the phone one day, and he's like, I want to honor you. And that was really special. and everybody. I mean, we were at that film. They did the film festival was just this past weekend, and it was actually the first film festival that was live since the pandemic, where you can actually go.
Oh, it wasn't virtual.
Wow.
It wasn't virtual. It was half virtual, half live, and they did 3 days of festival screenings, and then they had the award ceremony at the Chinese Theater on Sunday, and it was sponsored by the Oprah Winfrey Network and Sony Pictures, and they gave some really good grants out, and they were and actually they were a couple honorees. I was one of them, and the other, Robert Townsend, was also honored that day, but that evening, and it was really special. That was nice to be recognized for. It was the award's called the Pioneer of Influence Award that I was given, and
where's your award?
It was nice.
Why isn't it right in front of you?
It's actually right here. I'll bring it.
Bring it on over. Bring your award. Oh, he left. He's gone.
Oh, that's it. We just see the living room.
Migraine. Oh, there he is. Hey, that's a nice award.
Oh, that's lovely.
Very nice.
So it's in recognition of your accomplishments in the entertainment industry and your dedication to excellence and independence while continuing to influence the community and forging the path for the next generation.
Nice.
Oh, that's lovely.
That's sweet. So is this film going to go to the festival circuit?
Pardon?
Is this film going to go on the festival circuit?
The Magic, the one I just did?
The one you were just honored for, or the Magic, either or.
Oh, this was just a career.
Oh, just a career. Oh, okay.
Yeah, this wasn't for any particular film.
Oh, so they're just honoring you just for your work in general. Okay. I thought it was.
Yeah, it was really humbling and grateful.
Well, what I find interesting, and it's true what it says on your award, is I think that what sets you apart is you really think outside of the box, and that you decided to create something like The Bay, which is kind of soap opera-ish, but it's transmogrified into something else, and it's kept people's attention, and you put it on a platform like Amazon, and so you're just kind of creating this entirely new genre, and I think that's what makes you so innovative and so very, very different.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That means a lot. Thank you. I'm grateful.
Is there a genre that you would like to dabble your fingers in? I mean, what's Gregory Martin a fan of? Do you like Marvel movies? Do you like horror movies? What would you like to? What pool would you like to dip your toe?
I definitely love. I am a bit of a DC Comics, Marvel geek. I love all of that stuff. And that's actually a soap opera. So
it is.
Yeah, it is.
But yes, I love superhero movies. I'm big on superhero movies. I used to like horror. I still do. I mean, the iconic horror movies like Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street, and my favorite film of all time is still The Exorcist.
Yeah.
So I do love horror. I can't really watch it as much lately. Yeah, I'm not. It's just. I don't know if that's a place that I want to, put my mind into mentally. So I try not to. I don't really watch horror too much, and I don't really direct it. I used to direct. I directed. I don't know if you know my history, but I've directed 11 feature films, and most of those were horror. And that's kind of where I got my start, and that's how I met Camden. But I don't really like to do horror too much. I'll enjoy a good horror movie, which to be honest, there's not many good horror movies lately.
Yeah,
but
been there, done that.
But the iconic ones are great. I don't know if I really have a type of genre. I know I'm not really big on comedy. I've done some comedy. I'll always put comedy in my scripts. Light comedy, because you need a little humor to kind of lighten things up sometimes. But I would say, I don't know. I just kind of like everything, really. So
you don't have a dream project?
A dream project. I'd love to do yes, I'm in development on a project that I can't say much about. It's kind of a fantasy fairy tale thing that I'm working on right now. And I'm hoping to get into production on it before the end of this year. It'll be kind of like an epic, big multi-million-dollar production. But I can't say much about it, but it's been something that's been in my head since I was a child, and I'm really excited about it. It's based on a real fairy tale, Brothers Grimm type thing, and but I'd love to do a superhero movie or a series. I'm enjoying telling stories that are socially relevant. So I definitely want to do more of that. And that's probably where the Oscar will come into play. So.
I like to think.
Awesome, absolutely. You are influenced by any specific directors in your life that have influenced your career?
I'm sorry, I missed it. It got a little muffled there.
Sure. Are there any other, are there directors that have influenced your career?
Yes, definitely. I mean, there's quite a few that I really, really love. David Fincher is pretty amazing, and most of his movies are a lot of fun to watch. I love David Fincher's work, Fight Club, Seven,
Mank?
Curious Case of Benjamin Button, The Game, Panic Room. I love Fincher. But ultimately, it's Steven Spielberg. I mean, Steven Spielberg is a cliche answer for people in the entertainment industry, but he is Steven Spielberg for a reason. And I would have to say Steven Spielberg is a big influence in my world, in my life. I love his, most of his movies as well. And even if I don't love a movie, I can't deny that it's pretty epic.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Steven Spielberg is one of my favorites of all time. He's definitely an icon. I feel that Steven Spielberg still has that wonder kind of him. He's just so timeless. I mean, I was a little
definitely timeless.
When he went from doing the fantasy films that we all know and love him for, he started getting into his more serious roles. And I was like, oh, what happened to all the Steven Spielberg? But then he did mature, and he did the things like Schindler's List, and I was just like, wow, it was such a different level for Steven. I did feel a little, was the yearning still for the good stuff that Steven's known for. But when he did take that level, go to the next level. I was just like, wow, he has such an eye. I mean, I don't know if you saw that documentary on HBO. It was like a 4-hour documentary.
I didn't. I'll definitely watch it.
Yeah, you have to watch it. It just shows it shows everything from his beginnings and how and to some degree, some people in the industry at the time were jealous that he could come in and basically set up a shot so easily. I'm going to put the camera here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it was just, and they were like, no, good kid, blah blah blah, because he was young. And now he's the gold standard when you think of Steven Spielberg. I mean, like I said, he's my own personal hero between Steven Spielberg and Stan Lee. I mean, those were my all-time favorites.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're both wonderful. Yes.
Yeah,
I agree.
You were talking, and actually you were talking about Steven Spielberg and how his career has kind of changed through the years. You also said the Bay has changed through the years. You were saying at the beginning it was very much kind of like in the format, in the mold of Santa Barbara and the soap operas. How do you feel like you have changed it and how it's gone through these different seasons and the format itself has changed?
Yeah, that it goes back into what I was saying about the horror movies. I felt the same with the soap guilty pleasure type storylines. I just kind of wanted to tell stories that were a little more filled with depth, and that's kind of why we tackled some really important social issues. We also had our first same-sex marriage on the show.
Oh, that's groundbreaking for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was really happy about that, and I loved the story, and the actors were awesome. I hope they get some Emmy recognition this year. It was just about, wanting to just tell stories that will make a difference, that'll just kind of enlighten people. And so that's and I figured I have this show, it's successful, it's won these awards, it keeps going, and we have the best cast that we could have, so why don't we just put them in scenarios that will be potentially help someone understand something better, whether it's through the Black Lives Matter or COVID or same-sex scenario. We did a rape storyline that was really important.
Or the recent Asian animosity, the animosity towards Asian Americans, that would be a great one, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think the Asian community gets enough credit either in terms of getting cast for roles either, or having issues like this being more focused on.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
there you go.
Done the Asian
Those are your marching orders.
Thing. But that's definitely something that would probably be a great thing to tackle.
Yeah, write it down.
You know,
write
it's
it down.
hard. There's so many great. There's potentially so many great stories that we can tell, or help, deliver some sort of a message.
Mm-hmm.
But we only have 10 episodes to do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Per season, so it's so hard to kind of, I think there was a good balance with this season where, the episodes became longer because, so technically it was like you were almost watching 2 seasons in one with season 6, because originally the show was broadcast half hours, and then it became full half hours, and then this season we made them broadcast hours.
Wow.
And so we had to, because there were so many stories that we had to tell, and we didn't want to just kind of, cut the stories short or not be able to tell them as best as we could. So we made the episodes longer, and I think the fans loved it. It's interesting because there was a time when we first started the show, and everyone was like, nobody has the attention span. You short, quick, fast, 10-minute episodes. You got to do it. So we did that, and that's how we started it. And then as I started to, get into it, it was like all the fans were saying, "It's too short. I need more."
Sure.
And that's little by little.
More pay. More pay.
Wow.
We went from 10 minutes to 15 minutes to 20 minutes to 30 minutes and now 40 minutes. So.
Wow. Well, have you thought about, like, I know that General Hospital had a spin-off show, Port Charles, for a while, and then Dynasty had a spin-off of Flamingo Road. Have you actually thought, or is it too many balls to juggle in the air to do The Bay and then a spin-off of it at the same time? This is like breaking off a family sect or something?
We have a spinoff, actually. It's called YA.
Awesome.
We shot 10 episodes. It
hasn't
been released yet. It hasn't been released yet, but it's called YA, and it stands for 2 things: young adult. That's what YA, obviously.
Yeah.
YA. But on the Bay, York Avenue is the street where all the kind of anyone who's anybody on the Bay in Bay City on York Avenue, and so it follows this group of young high schoolers who go to Bay City High, and they deal with all of their social issues that teenagers deal with. And we shot 10 episodes. It hasn't been released yet. It will be released this year. And there are several characters from the Bay who kind of cross over into this world. But you don't have to watch both shows to know it. It's just that if you watch the Bay, then it's fun to see this, these characters that are like on the other side of Bay City. Not necessarily on the other side physically, but just kind of like where the cameras don't see. You can see it on YA. These a whole slew of other characters, and then some of the characters cross over from the Bay, and actually some of the characters we did have them cross over from YA to the Bay. So.
Oh, back and forth. And so you are producing and directing and writing both at the same time.
Yes. Yeah. I'm the head writer for both shows and the director. And actually, Christos co-directs YA with me. So
it's a lot of work.
Seriously, like you said, that you are a man that does not take a vacation, I'm assuming.
Well, he does. He just makes more work for himself.
He works on vacation.
If I take vacation, I put work into it. Like, we're going back to Puerto Rico. Actually, you're the first people to hear this because I haven't announced this anywhere yet. But we are shooting. The plan is to shoot a good portion of season 7 in Puerto Rico.
Oh, nice.
Wow, so you guys heard it first right here. So
Yes,
if you are fans of the Bay, this is the creator, Gregory J. Martin, right here today, and he is telling us about what's going on in the next season. So please engage us in the chat. You have him here right now. If you have any questions to ask Gregory.
Ask him anything.
Yeah, comments.
But don't send your headshots in.
Or like he said, even suggestions, because he does listen to fans. He loves hearing your suggestions and what they think about the Bay and the new show show that he's going to be having that's going in sequence to the Bay. Do you have any other plans for these types of, because I think they're awesome. They're like the old-fashioned serials, the old-fashioned serial kind of dramas.
Yep.
And like you said, it is important to put a little bit of comedy, because sometimes even in the soaps they would have such a serious situation, but then a Christmas episode would come on, and all the people, even if you were the villain or a good character, would be all sitting singing by the Christmas tree. And I remember
Just a little levity, yeah. But it's not like slapstick comedy, like
Really cool. Yeah. I'm sorry. What was the question?
But I was saying that that you always take the time to kind of weave in, like you don't focus on comedy, but you do weave in comedy at times because you think you need it for the to make things lighter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of why we have characters that are kind of the comedic relief. We call them, that's what we call it. So like there's a few characters that we know, all right, I can, if things are getting too heavy, I can just write a little more Daniel in there, because Daniel will lighten things up. Eric Nelson plays the part. But yeah, it's important. Even Pete, even Christos's character, there are times where he's very serious and very kind of intense and on some journey to save somebody. But we'll pepper in some, and the actor will do it himself. Christos would do it. He'll like kind of pepper in a little comedic, something in there just for loosen things up. Like we did a scene where it was Christos and Tristan, who are both very intense characters on the Bay, and they decided, they asked me if they could do something on the show where they're going to find Sarah's character, and they're in this abandoned cabin, and they're walking in, and then they're supposed to walk through the door, and it was written as they just kind of walked through the door is left open, and they walked through, and they were like, well, why don't we, why can't we just come up with something where they're, somebody's going to kick it down, and one of them was going to kick it down, and the other one was going to shoot it, and they wanted to like put action into it. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So what we had was Christos's character Pete is ready to kind of kick the door in, and then Lex, Tristan's character, just stops him and then shoots the door instead. But they're supposed to be kind of super discreet and quiet about it, and that's not being very quiet. So there's just a little moment where it was like, all right, the actors wanted to have fun and do like some action thing, and they did it, and they got their testosterone out. It was a fun moment.
That's so funny.
Let's kick down the door. No, let's set the door on fire. Yeah. And then it just goes.
I've always wondered too, and when it's a soap opera, some of these characters, like you said, even like Ron Moss, people know them, they've been on for years and years. What happens is the actor themselves disappointed when you decide to write them off when they get killed, and like you said, they don't come back on unless they come back on as another character? How many times has that happened when somebody reads the script at the read through that week and they're like, wait a minute, I just
they're like, oh man, really?
Oh, well, I usually give the actor the heads up. So I won't just like kind of, they'll know beforehand. And a lot of times it's a mutual decision, where, one of the actors decides, they might move to Canada. That actually happened. And we'll like Brian's character, he was kind of the main actor in when the show first started, and he was there for a good 2 years. And he was moving to Canada. And so he told me, and so we wrote the character off, and the character ended up going to jail.
I don't think so.
That will actually happen. And there are other times where a character, something, some cliffhanger at the end, indicates that the character is killed. And then as we're going into the second season, I'll just kind of reach out to the cast and say, okay, we're going into the second season. Please let us know if you could be part of it. If you can't, blah, blah, blah. And some of them will say, I'm booked out. And so I'll either have to recast the part if it's in the middle of a storyline, or I'll figure out a way to kind of write the character off, whether they were killed or they died in the scenario of whatever that season finale was. So
that makes sense. I'm sure a lot of actors, if you're just moving, you don't want to you'd rather go to jail than be killed in case you want the opportunity to come
Absolutely.
back.
And sometimes I always found it weird on some of the soaps when a different actor is playing. Actually, it happened in Game of Thrones where the different actor will take a character's role, and you're like, wait a minute, wasn't that so and so?
So when that happens, do you try to get somebody that's similar to the other actor?
Yeah, if there's been a couple of instances where I had to do it because I wasn't vibing with that particular actor. So I had to find another actor. But usually, but for the most part, it's a mutual decision. And I've only done maybe a little over a handful of recasts over the 7 seasons. So, and it hasn't really been any of the major characters, as far as I know. As far as I can't really. It's been more of a supporting role. That it wasn't like they weren't like part of the pivotal storyline. There might have been one or something. I can't think of any of. Well, Karuchi Tran is a great example. The character now has become a big part of the show, and she is Vivian. But there were 2 actresses that played the part before her that I'm not even sure if the audience realizes it.
Really?
There was a. But she is, to the audience, Vivian is Karuchi Tran is Vivian. There was one actor who I think it was scheduling conflicts or what the situation was, where he was on the show for 2 seasons, and it was a pivotal character. And then we had to recast the part. And now I think, and it was actually Christopher Sean, who was the original actor. And then now Michael Copen plays him. But Michael Copen has been playing him since season 4. And now we're going into season 7. But he, he just really morphed into the role and made it his own. And they were very similar, look-wise and performance, and the way they played the character. So I don't know if the audience really picked up on it too much. Obviously, Christopher Sean's fans did because he has a really big fan base. But Michael kind of went into that role and did a wonderful job, and he's made it his own. So.
Well, now, a lot of soaps and I'm not comparing it always to soaps, but just thinking General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, Santa Barbara, a lot of these soaps literally go on not only for years, they go on for decades. Do you see the Bay as something that will continue to go, and generationally these characters will, lead out their lives in front of the general public on the Bay? Or do you see a time when you feel like the Bay story has been told?
Done. Finished. No more.
I kind of go back and forth with this question because it is something that's been with me since I was a child, these characters, and so it's hard to kind of end it. So I find myself saying every year, I think we're just going to do one more season after this.
Sure.
And then that doesn't happen. So now we're going into our 7th season. 2 months ago, if you would have asked me this question, I would have said, no, there's no plans to do a 7th season. And that was kind of like the mumblings around the industry. People were coming to me and saying, oh, I heard that you're not doing the Bay, And I was like, yeah. I never really fully gave the answer. Now we're doing it. So that happens all the time, where it's like, I think I'm ready to let it go, and then I don't, So that's... as long as there's an audience for it, I don't know why we wouldn't continue doing it, except for the fact that I want to do other things, so somebody else would have to kind of figure that all out. But we'll see. At the moment, I don't have any plans to end the show. That's what I'm saying. This month, next month, I might change my mind, But I also don't want to disappoint our audience, and right now we are in development on the 7th season. So.
Well, and especially if you're dealing with so many, like you said, you're taking these relevant social issues, especially I think in this climate, in this time, and you're taking these social issues and you're implementing them into the show, making it entertainment based, of course, but also, a spreading a word of positivity, a positive change, and perhaps opening other people's eyes. I think it's, as long as it stays relevant, it's a very legitimate reason why to use the platform as the Bay for these issues.
Right. Yeah, totally. So.
Absolutely.
I need more time.
More time. Never enough time.
So funny. So you guys, we have been having such an awesome time with Gregori today. Gregori, if people want to follow your career, see what you're up to, follow you on social media, all that kind of good stuff, how would they do that?
I'm really bad at this. I do have an Instagram that I don't really, I think it might even be private, but it's at Gregori J. Martin. That's Gregori with an I, Gregori J. Martin. I don't even know if it's public, but it's.
Is there a Bay one?
But the Bay is actually what I usually direct people to, at the Bay the series. So the Bay the series, and that's kind of all the social media platforms. And I'm also on Twitter, Gregory J. Martin on Twitter, and I'm on Facebook too. So that's probably the best way to find me. And the Bay is the Bay the series. So.
The Bay the series.
Bay the series.
Available on Amazon. Looking forward to season 7.
Yep.
Do you have any sneak peeks that you can tell us about, or is it all hush hush?
Do I what? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Do you have any sneak peeks or tidbits you can tell us? A teaser or is it all hush hush?
Yeah. I can't really say what's going to happen in the next season because it ended where everyone was shot. So I can't give any spoilers because then you'll know who lived or died.
Oh, so you guys have got to stay tuned then.
Stay tuned for more thrills, more chills, more what? More donuts.
You've got to stay tuned, and you heard it right out of the mouth of the creator, Gregori J. Martin. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Should we invite him to sway with us?
Questions and the love, and thank you. It really means a lot to me to
Oh,
what
awesome.
you guys thought about.
Now you got to do
Gregory,
this.
would you like to sway with us?
You got to do Let's Sway. Here we go.
Here we go.
Gregory sway. Let's sway. Let's sway. And that's a heck of a lot for him to do early in the morning because he's not a morning person. Thank you so much
Thanks,
for
Gregory.
joining us in the morning, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
All right.
For having
Bye.
me.
Make sure you guys follow Sway TV.
Follow Sway right here. Ooh, it's this way, sorry.
Corey says, thank you, Sway TV. Shakira says, thank you, Sway. Yes, guys, it is so much fun. We love Sway TV.
Talk to all your friends and your family. Let them know about Sway TV.
Enjoy the rest of your day. You can have a Tambay party.
Thank you, Sway TV.
Amazon Live! Woo!
Such a great time with all of you.
Shop attainment all the time.
We in the house, we having fun, we doing the thing, we swaying. It is good. Woohoo!
2 thumbs up. Woo!
Let's sway.
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 Let's go. Let's sway. Stay tuned. Woo!